Okay, welcome to my channel, guys. I'm gonna jump straight into application. If you guys noticed that there was a little bit of mint green on that nail. Now, I was trying to start my application, but I grabbed a dry bead. So when I was trying to go ahead and like move it down, I realized like the acrylic had already kind of dried on the nail where I placed it. So I had to like take it off. So that's why you see so much acrylic there. I think in this video, you guys, I'm just going to talk about some tips that I've learned on when I was doing my nails. So, a backstory, I've been doing nails for like about 2 years. I do not take clients. I do not do nails on other people. Well, let me not say I don't do nails on other people. I do nails on my family. That's about it. But I don't actually take clients. Now, I haven't practiced too much on my actual self when I was doing nails. I was mainly like practicing like press-ons and stuff like that because that's what I wanted to do. But I haven't made up my mind whether I want to do press-ons or whatever. But you guys will see press-ons on my channel from time to time. But I think I just want to like work on like application videos on myself and stuff like that because I feel like that's what people, beginner nail techs, want to see. They want to see application on actual hands. So I think that's what I'm going to stick to. So I'm going to give you guys some tips or whatever that I feel like helped me to get to where I am now and the comfortability that I have with doing my own nails. So I would say tip number 1 is to make sure you are keeping your brush wet, you guys. I kid you not. There were so many times I was doing my acrylic nails and I was just like, why is my application not smooth? Why do I have to keep placing beads here, beads there? Like, why is my brush not working for me? And I'm like, okay, like, you guys really cannot work with a dry brush. Like, it does not move the acrylic down smoothly. The acrylic will be patchy because the brush is dry and the acrylic in itself starts to dry out, which means it's getting ready to set. So when you keep monomer in your brush, you can kind of maneuver the time that it's going to set and it'll give you a smoother application. Tip number 2 is to make sure you are wiping off your brush. That is a big thing. Okay, wiping off your brush is, I would say it's number 2nd and the most important thing of doing your nails, okay? Because when you don't wipe off your brush, you may not see that the acrylic is building up, but it is building up in that brush. So wiping it off helps get any excess acrylic you have off your brush so that when you're like getting ready to do like your next nail or your 3rd nail, you know, the acrylic is not dried in your brush, making your brush hard to work with, okay? Tip number 3 is the cuticle bead. Now, the cuticle bead is like your most important bead. It's your bead that will cause you a lot of lifting if it's not applied correctly. Now, it's not the only thing that will cause lifting. There are definitely multiple aspects that can cause lifting, but cuticle application is definitely one of the biggest ones. So when you're doing your cuticle, you want to flush it to the nail. You don't want that to be bulky. You want it to be flush to your nail. Also, you do not want to pick up a wet bead near your cuticle area. Otherwise, it is going to run. When I say run, it is going to seep up into the cuticle area and it'll cause like when people like say you finish your nails and they go wash their hands because you did not place that bead correctly or didn't seal that acrylic correctly. It's just going to cause a lot of dirt and debris and all that stuff to get up under the nail and it's going to cause people's nails to wet. So just keep that in mind if you guys do take clientele that you want to make sure you get your cuticle beads just right to where you can maneuver them, but they're not too wet and they're not too dry. I think I'm on tip number 4, you guys, is when you're like doing stuff like an ombre, you want to have a light touch. Before I used to be like dragging my acrylic down. Also, that's because my brush wasn't wet. And my bead to powder ratio wasn't correct. But when you're doing ombres, you want to make sure that you are feathering that ombre color down into the color or up into the next color. When I say feather, that means you're using such a light touch that it's almost like you're barely putting any pressure onto the brush, and it will give it a smoother blend. I used to like try to do my ombres and I used to be like, okay, like it looks so harsh, like a harsh line. You want it to blend seamlessly, like almost to know that the two colors right there made their own color. if that makes sense. Tip number 5 is definitely your liquid to powder ratio. I would say this is your number one thing that you should focus on before you even start doing nails, okay? That is such a big thing. It can make or break your application by a lot. When I say liquid to powder ratio, that just means how much monomer is going into your brush and how much powder you're picking up on your brush. They have to be almost like working together, not almost like working together. They have to be working together in order for you to get a good application. So you have dry beads, you have wet beads. You want your bead to be in the middle. Not too dry, but not too wet. Just a perfect consistency. When you have good consistencies, you don't have to chase your acrylic. You do not have to worry about applying, okay, say that bead I applied right there was too wet. It would have been running off the sides and I would not have been able to move it around like how you guys seeing me move it around. So I will later on post a liquid to bead powder ratio that I use when I'm doing my nails. That helps me do my nails and my application a little bit better. Now, tip number 5 is consistency. You guys, nails is all about consistency. Don't think that you're gonna watch a tutorial and just instantly know how to do nails. No, it's about practice. You want to make sure you practice a lot. All acrylic powders have different ways, like not acrylic powders but acrylic systems. There's different ways, like there's slow setting acrylic, fast setting acrylic. So when you're buying acrylic, you need to practice with the products that you use because it may not be the same exact product. Okay, so like if I use the size 8 brush, I'm not going to be able to get bigger beads, so therefore I would have to apply more beads onto this nail than if I was to use a size 14 brush. So you have to practice. You practice with your products to see what works for you and how it does, how it works for you guys. Don't overthink it. Just try your best. Keep practicing. Like I try to do a set every day. Honestly, you guys, I try to get a set in if I can every day, just to better myself, to see stuff that I can work on. And like I said, you guys, I am still learning. There's still a lot of stuff that I want to be able to do when I do my nails. I want to be able to not have to use so many beads and stuff like that. I definitely want to get a bead method down, but you do what works for you in the beginning. But if you want to become a nail tech where you're doing other people's nails, make sure you learn your liquid to powder ratio. That is so, so, so important. Okay, next tip is going to be find an acrylic that works for you. Now, when I was first starting, I was literally just buying acrylic that I looked at a few different reviews or whatever, and some good, some bad. But I was just like, okay, like I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna buy it. Now, instead of buying individual colors, you guys, I bought the whole collection, and I do not like that acrylic. I'm not gonna say I don't like it. I just don't think that it's the best acrylic. I think that some of it marbles, and some of the colors are really, really pretty, and then some of the colors marble like a lot, so it doesn't do too well, and I spent a lot of money on those. So I would say when you're looking into getting nail products, make sure you do tons and tons of research. See the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad of all acrylic systems. There are so many different acrylic companies out here that you can use or whatever. In this video, I'm using Young Nails, Cover Peach, and NotPolish. Now, I would say NotPolish is beginner friendly, but it's not beginner price friendly, okay? Their acrylic jars are like almost $20 a piece. So, you know what I'm saying? For somebody that's getting ready to start, you want to try to get, you want to build your collection. So I wouldn't say NotPolish is where you should start. There's definitely other companies out there. This is just my preference. Like, I just like NotPolish. I think their their acrylic system is very, very smooth. Like, it's definitely beginner usable because your beads do not dry and their colors are so vibrant, so pigmented. But it's just the price point of their acrylic is really high. But you get what you pay for. So I'm gonna let you guys just finish watching me apply my acrylic, and then I'll jump back in when I get to filing. into my filing. So my tip for filing is to make sure you adjust your speed. Now, when I was first learning to file, I used to try to keep my speed on like the lowest one. But when you want to adjust your speed to, like, if you're doing certain things, like say I wanted to debulk my nail, leaving it on the slowest speed is going to make me take forever. Okay, make sure you're adjusting your speed to what you need. So like if you need to debulk, you want to have your speed a little bit higher. If you're just trying to take the shine off the natural nail, you definitely want to keep your speed lower. And like when you're doing the cuticle area, you want to keep your speed low. So just make sure that you're adjusting the speed. I have never used my drill all the way, or the speed of my drill all the way to the highest speed, because there's never been a need for that. So just make sure that you're moving your thing around. I promise y'all, this used to make my application, my filing process so long, because I used to try to keep it on the lowest speed ever. Because I was just like, I don't want to cut myself and I don't want to do this. But by moving at the lowest speed, it was like, I feel like I was more prone to like nipping myself, because I wasn't, adjusted the speed for what I needed. So I'm like moving slow, which means I have to keep going over the same spots and stuff like that. So just make sure you're adjusting the speed of your drill. My next tip is definitely to learn your drill bits, learn what they're used for, learn what drill bits that you should use for certain things. Like if you need a cuticle bit, make sure you have a cuticle bit, because there are different type of bits for a reason. So just make sure you do your research on what bits you're using. So the bit I'm using is a 5-in-1. This bit I just usually use for like my debulking and like to seal in my cuticle. There's a different bit that I would use to actually like get this, like, what do you call it? I'm drawing a blank, you guys. To like get the extra cuticles off your nail. There's different bits for everything, you guys, I promise. So just make sure you do your research on what different type of bits are used for. Next, you want to pay attention to how much pressure you're applying. Now, I'm still working on this one, because sometimes, you guys, when I feel like I'm debulking, I feel like I start to apply so much pressure, and then when you apply too much pressure, you can start to put dents in certain places. So just make sure you're watching how much pressure you apply to the nail. I did do this a few times in the video. That's why I say, you guys, like, I'm still learning. You guys are watching me learn how to do my nails and stuff like that. So just make sure you're keeping a light touch. The file is supposed to do all the work for you. Your job is just kind of move it around and let it do what it's supposed to do, so you don't have to apply so much pressure. Now, my next and most important, you guys, listen to that, important tip for filing: do not leave your drill in one spot. Y'all, when I used to be debulking, I used to go over the same spot over and over again. It will give you a heat spike, and that burns, you guys. It burns really bad. And especially if you're going to take clients, like, that can like damage their nail beds and everything. So just make sure you are not leaving your drill in one spot. You want to keep moving it around. And by moving it around, I mean like picking it up. Don't just keep filing over the same spot, because it's going to burn. So I'm going to let you guys finish watching this, and then I think after this I'm going to like buff and stuff like that. So I think this is all for me talking for the rest of the video. You guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys get all the way to the end so you can see how I designed everything. And let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you would like me to post, any specific type of content. Like if you guys want to hear more voiceovers, you want to hear story times, or you want me to work to do like tutorials and stuff like that, watch me works, creative tips and tricks and stuff like that. So just make sure you stay active in the comments so that I can reach out to you guys and, give you content that you're looking forward to see. Okay, bye.